they have.
All right, and we are officially back. We're off and rolling. University of Dayton Arena. It's the OHSAA Boys Basketball State Tournament. It's our pregame coverage with you here on the OHSAA social networks. Of course, Justin Kinner, Coach George Howard with you here, and we're off and rolling. Continuing on our coverage as we're getting set for Division IV State Championship action. But before we turn our attention to Division IV, how about what we just watched, Coach, with Division III? That's how you want to tip off a state championship weekend right there. It was two ginormous crowds, two great fan bases. The energy was great, two great teams, and a great finish. An unbelievable finish out of D3.
Hey, what a way to kick off the morning of the weekend, which we'll all be here. But, wow, it was unbelievable. It was a tale of two halves. The first half was totally dominated by Louisville, and I think they just kind of took Aiken by storm a little bit. But what an adjustment that the coaches from Aiken made this morning at halftime. And I tell you what, it was unbelievable excitement here. The crowds were ramped up, and it was just a way to kick off the weekend. You talked about Aiken. I thought about you in the first half, and I said, well, I wonder what he's sitting over there thinking now. But then that second half, man, wow.
Yeah, I mean, Aiken came out and they threw a bunch of punches in the third quarter. Went on that 15-0 run. It seemed like in a blink of an eye, turned a 19-point deficit to a 4-point deficit. And they had their chances, you know, free throw with 8 seconds left could have tied the game. The Ashton Marshall putback at the end of the third quarter, another momentum shift. At the end of the day, Louisville made the winning plays at the end. But Aiken, like I mentioned on the pregame show, I didn't think if either team was up big, they'd be comfortable. Louisville up 8 with, I think, a minute and 5 seconds left. And Aiken cuts it all the way down to 1. It was, neither team could be comfortable at all in the final stages.
I mentioned to my partner over there, I said we were sitting right there, and it was time when it was time for him to shoot that free throw. I said to him, I said, pressure bust pipes. I said, if he don't hit this free throw, you know, that's going to be huge, and he didn't make it. Hey, Louisville, man, what you talked about them this morning, they came out, bam, they just took it to them. Second half, they got scrambled a little bit in that third quarter, but I think in that experience of being here, being playing in big games before, let me say that, took over in that fourth quarter.
Yeah, senior Avery Andronchich was a kid I brought up earlier in the pregame show. You know, hit a huge shot against Garfield Heights to put them up late in the game. And then he comes out today and he scores 14, which was probably a season high for him, I would imagine. So it was those role guys all game long that just made a huge difference for Louisville tonight. I thought a guy like Ashton Marshall, right, you look at the box score, it's not going to pop out at you, but his effort I thought was incredible. Just the amount of 50-50 balls he got, you know, sprinting back on defense, saving, you know, easy buckets at the rim. I mean, he's been their glue guy for the last 2 years, and I thought he was huge today.
Let me ask you this. When do you think that turning point was in that fourth quarter for Louisville? Because I think it was a big shot that they had. Remember, we were sitting there and I said, remember this shot? When do you think was a turning corner for them in that fourth quarter? And that kind of brought the crowd back in the game because their crowd was silent.
To me, I thought the turning point for them came towards the end of the third quarter, right? Because if you look in the beginning, Aiken, their pressure and how they were able to just disrupt Louisville, that's something we spoke about earlier too. I thought they had the potential to do that, right? To really speed them up, not let them get comfortable, generate turnovers, you know, turn defense into offense on the other end. But it seemed like at the end of that third quarter, Louisville started to regain their composure, made a couple plays, and then like Ralph said, that putback by Ashton Marshall at the end of the third quarter, I thought that was huge, not only just for the game, them needing a bucket, but just for their overall confidence and let them know, hey, we're still in control of this game, and I thought they were.
Yeah, I thought one of the most impressive things about that D3 matchup, and again, by the way, your final, it was 63-61, Louisville over Aiken in the Division III final. We're recapping that right now. We're turning our attention towards the D4 final coming up as Glenville getting set to take on Maysville. We'll turn our attention there in a second. But I thought the most impressive thing about, I mean, outside of Aiken's comeback and the way that they just piled it on him in the first, 3 minutes, they were down 20. They had cut it to within 10. 3 minutes into the start of the half. Talked about that big run. But as impressive as those runs were from Aiken, it was the fact that, of course, Louisville was able to hold them off. Every time they'd cut it to within a possession, they'd cut it to within a point, they had a chance to tie it with free throws late. They caught breaks every opportunity that they could, and it was just effort plays. And Aiken just shot themselves in the foot in the first half. That's the biggest problem that they had. They played a near-perfect second half. They just came up short. But I thought the fact that Louisville, every time Aiken had a chance to tie it or take the lead, they had someone respond. I thought that was the biggest thing. It goes back to your point. I think it was Siegfried who hit that shot. That's the one you were talking about that kind of had that dagger, but it's what that kept him away. It just kept him away at a distance a bit. I thought big plays were made that entire second half.
Yeah, they answered every single Aiken run. Yep. You know, at some point, whether, like you mentioned, it was an effort play, a wide-open catch-and-shoot three. At one point, Coach Siegfried called a timeout, and then following that timeout, got a wide-open backdoor layup. I believe it was either Marshall or Aljoncic got an open layup. But it was just little plays like that to me that kept Aiken at bay. And the fact that they didn't give up a lead at all in that second half.
They never did.
With as aggressive and assertive as Aiken was, I thought was really impressive. Not only just their composure, but just their ability just to continuously make plays when their back was against the wall. It's huge.
Mike, what you think?
I mean, Louisville is a team that they've had their backs against the wall. They were in overtime against DeSales, down in the fourth quarter against Bishop Hartley, down by 11 in the fourth quarter against Garfield. Like, they never trailed today, but they're a team that they played some of the best teams in Ohio. In the regular season, they lost to Westerville North, who we're going to see at the nightcap later tonight. They defeated St. Ignatius at home in overtime, a team that made the Division I Final Four. This is a team that has been battle-tested. Last year, they had like one or two seniors that played a lot. So these kids got a ton of experience last year, ton of big games this year. Eventually, that was the difference. In March, they were ready for those tight moments, and they shined. They answered the call every single time.
All right, one more time again, congratulations again. Just a fantastic game. Louisville 63-61 over Aiken. Louisville wins their first ever state championship, and they tip things off for us here this weekend. So we're off and rolling. Fantastic start, and we got another good one coming up. I just talked about Louisville. Whoever won between Louisville and Aiken would have won their very first state championship. Well, we have the very same type of scenario playing out as we're just moments away from the tip-off to Division IV action, as Glenville, of course, getting set to take on Maysville, which is where we will turn our attention towards on the other side. We'll step away for a few moments. We're still hanging out with TJ Petros and Michael Roth. We appreciate you guys coming in and bringing your insight, and we'll get you set for Division IV state championship action when we come back.
Welcome to the OHSAA.
Every day we work too.
Take the regulations on these pages
and to apply them to real-life situations.
To serve our member schools.
And our officials.
And to run the best state tournaments in the country.
It's our mission.
To serve our member schools.
And enrich interscholastic opportunities for students.
Welcome.
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 Welcome to the OHSAA.
All right, and we welcome you back here. University of Dayton Arena, Division III state championship is final, and now we turn our attention towards Division IV. Glenville getting set to take on, of course, Maysville right now out of Division IV. Two teams who have taken two different paths to get here, but at the end of the day, no matter what, one of these two teams is about to win their first state championship in school history. Justin Kinner, George Howard, TJ Petros, Michael Roth hanging out with you here in the pregame. Now we turn our attention towards Division IV. We had fun in Division III. I can feel the excitement behind us. I think we're about to be in for a treat for Division IV here.
Yeah, we probably need to wrap this segment up as quick as we can because I'm telling you guys, the Maysville faithful.
You said you were hungry, so I know.
I'm starving. But not as hungry as these Maysville fans, I can tell you that. The way that these people come out, man, I went down to their game at Wittenberg against Wyoming. It was the state semifinal. I left straight from work. I get to the college at 4 p.m. There was a line wrapped around the building already at 4 o'clock, 90 minutes before tip. These Maysville fans had Wittenberg looking like Best Buy on a Black Friday. It was just, it was phenomenal, the fact that the way that these people turn up not only for the games, but just how engaged they are during the games. And I think they're going to have a lot of fun with this one, especially going against Glenville. I think fans can expect just a frantic, up and down, crazy type of pace to this one. Glenville is really long, athletic, physical team. Maysville kind of a little more skilled and structured, but also want to play the same type of speed and type of pace. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
You know, it's interesting. Glenville, I think the longest win streak they had during the regular season was like 3 or 4 games. And then you head into a tournament where, well, once you lose, your season is completely done. You look at how many games they've had to win. It's their longest win streak of the season to get to this point, obviously. Coach and I were talking before, there's so many teams that are here this weekend that, just a couple games above 500 throughout the regular season, and then they caught fire at the right time. Glenville's been good all year, but they've definitely played their best basketball at the right time, riding this hot streak into this championship game.
Absolutely, and I talked to their coach at the Canton Memorial Fieldhouse on Sunday, so a day after they won their Final Four game over Hawken, and we mentioned that Glenville had been knocking on the door in the old 4-division format. They had won a couple districts, falling short to teams like St. Vincent St. Mary, Gilmore Academy. In this year's team, I thought the difference were 2 big things. One, they have great size. Lorenzo Staley, Xavier Bickerstaff, 2 seniors who are going to use their length on the interior, block shots, rebound the basketball, and also they've got good point guard play by Theo Castro. Those two things have taken their game to the next level. Glenville's always had the athletes, always had the motor, defensive ability, but having the size and also point guard play is why they're here today and not going out in the regional round like they have.
And shout out to Coach B.O. from Glenville, man. He was a longtime assistant under Coach Michael Holt, who's a Cleveland legend. Unfortunately, Coach Holt is in the hospital, wasn't able to make the trip down here right now, but I know he's going to be locked in and watching. It's pretty cool for Coach Otrix to be able to do this in his first season as head coach at Glenville.
I'll tell you, I'm excited about this game for a couple reasons, but last year I became a Maysville fan. I just became a fan. The way they played, me and you, we were all here last year. And I remember coming over talking to you guys afterwards, but, the excitement that they bring, the way the team stuck in there. Did they win? I can't remember. They lost last year, right?
Yeah, to Alter.
Yeah, they beat Shelby in the state semis, which is probably a top 5 game that I've seen in the state tournament in the last 5 to 10 years. Phenomenal game. And then they lost to Alter in the state championship.
Yeah, I remember us talking about that, but I'm excited for this game. I haven't seen Glenville, but I've heard a lot about them. And so I'm excited to see what this game brings. I'm excited about it.
We talked about Glenville. What about Maysville right now, too? You just touched on that a little bit, too, but obviously talked a little bit about Glenville. Maysville, 26-3. They've been consistent all season long. What do they got to do to win the state championship here today over Glenville?
For fans that weren't down here at UD last year and got to see the way this Maysville team plays, they play a fun, exciting brand of basketball, especially on the offensive end. They average almost 13 made threes per game. I mean, all 5 guys on the floor can flat out shoot it. They get a lot of player movement, a lot of ball movement, play with a ton of energy. One thing you're going to see from their guys tonight, they flat out compete on both sides of the ball, and they're led by a point guard who's got the coolest name in Ohio, man. His name is Gator Nichols, and he can flat out play. Junior Gator Nichols and Jordan Watson. I thought the junior Kane Roaring, who wasn't much of a factor last year as a sophomore, but has really emerged now as a junior. 6'5", kind of bit of a stretch big man for them. I mean, he scored 11 of their first 14 against Wyoming in the state semis, and I thought that really kind of allowed them to stay in the game, stay within striking distance, and then make that push in the second half like they did. So they got a lot of guys that can flat out shoot it, and they're going to play hard, and they're going to move the rock.
Mike, tell us about Glenville and what you think Glenville needs to do to win this game today.
Glenville has to run Maysville off the three-point line. If Glenville is going to win this game, they can't let Maysville beat them off the dribble to the paint and then kick out the shooters. If Glenville's going to win this game, don't let Maysville take set shots.
What I will say is this. If you had a chance to watch that first game, it's going to take one heck of a game to beat that one. But I'm looking forward to it, and hey, we may just have another one.
Yep, and you are the man of predictions, by the way. That last game ended just how you predicted.
Yes.
Nailed it right there. You still don't get predictions. All right, good stuff. TJ Petros, Michael Roth again. TJ Petros with NEO Spotlight, of course. We appreciate Tim. We appreciate you guys coming on and giving us a little bit of time today. You guys help get everyone set for these matchups, so we appreciate it, no doubt about it. All right, I know we have to send it down to the floor coming up here shortly for the OHSAA Radio Network and our friends at Spectrum as well, the TV broadcast, the radio broadcast. The OHSAA makes sure that there's so many different ways to take in coverage of the OHSAA State Tournament, whether it's through radio, whether it's through TV, whether it's through social media shows like this. We appreciate that. We appreciate you guys tuning in. We send it now down to the floor, of course, for the OHSAA Radio Network and Spectrum Sports as they get you set for Division IV as Maysville gets set to take on Glenville in the Division IV OHSAA Boys State Championship game.